Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Morning Show. Today we're speaking to Sias, who went to the UK and came back to Nelspruit, of all places. But no doubt he will explain why. Hello, Sias. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, thank you.
So we spoke before we were recording here. You left for the UK in 2005. So, of course, the obvious question is why?
Well, at that stage, I just finished uni, and back then they still had the working holiday visa scheme running, and loads of people just went, sort of almost like a gap year, just for a bit of adventure, a bit of traveling, and we went as well. Um, Decided to spend at least a year in the UK, maybe 2 years, and we sort of got stuck. So we got stuck in a way, uh, just opportunities that came up in the UK that we decided, okay, well, we'll stay a few years more, and then the working holiday visa expired, but we managed um, to get other rights of abode, so we stayed on, and then, well, after 17 years, decided to come back. But it's always been in the back of my mind, really, to head back to South Africa. So it's never been a case of we left because we felt there weren't any opportunities or anything like that. We did meet many other South African expats who left for that reason, yes, but we were never in that camp.
And while living there, again, now the contrast, of course, is very obvious. Once you arrive, it's exciting, I assume, for 6 months or for a year or something to
Hmm.
that effect. But while you were there, I mean, did you make good friends with the British people? Not that there are many in England at the moment. How was your lifestyle compared to how it was in South Africa before you left?
Um, well, very different, very different. In terms of cultural fit, it it's easy to fit in very superficially, as long as you can speak a bit of English. But the moment you want to make good friends, then it becomes much harder. It gets much harder, and I think, well, most South Africans who live over there will tell you they tend to stick together. So that you have a small group of friends who tend to be South Africans as well, and and it's so it's easy in that regard to fit in uh, with your small group of friends. It does get much harder once you uh, start to become more aware of opportunities for your children. So we had 3 kids over there, and then that cultural fit gets harder. So uh, making good friends with friends of your children, for example, or their parents rather. So that becomes well, the cultural divide gets more obvious. Um,
How did you find the British people generally? Are they sort of cold? Do they put up a wall, or
yes.
are they fairly inviting?
Well, weather determines how friendly you are, it seems.
Yes.
So cold, wet, and windy. Uh, I think is a good description of the British. I mean, again, superficially, they're very friendly. They're very polite. They're well known for that, aren't they? So they're very polite on a very superficial level, but making good friends, that gets definitely does get harder, and also yeah, it affects the workplace as well. So in the workplace, um, there's a definite difference also compared to South Africans. So, which is one of the reasons why we are still sought after over there, because we tend to just get on with it. Whereas over there, It's not necessarily the case. They look after themselves and their rights and how little they can get away with. That's quite common in the workplace. So yes, that was also a challenge.
And in terms of, okay, you said you always had intentions to return to South Africa. It took 17 years. If I may ask, what was the catalyst to actually make the change to come back? Was there a catalyst, or was it just it's time now? We had enough
COVID.
over the COVID. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Because they
yeah,
didn't
yeah, for sure.
mess around with human rights violations.
Yeah. So when things slowed down during COVID, I had the opportunity to rethink things really, and then I came back to South Africa. When was this? November 2021. Yes, November 2021. I came back just for a couple of weeks for family reunion, and then Omicron struck over here. So I was stuck for a few weeks, and then I noticed in my very subjective experience, really talking to lots of people over here, it felt to me as if there was a bit of a change, in the the approach of many people that I had dealings with during the time, from being extremely negative about South Africa and the government this and politics that and so on, to yes, we know, we're quite used to the government being bad now. We're not expecting anything from them. We're just gonna find a way, and that, in my mind, well, made quite a bit of a difference also. So I started feeling much more positive about the prospects also. If you live in a community that has that approach, then things do happen. So
Indeed. And that's something
mm,
that we
mm,
preach quite often on this channel. It's like, yes, we talk about the government on the channel just so that people are aware of what they're trying to do. But essentially, it's
mm,
just to arm you with knowledge that you know that this could happen in time to come and take defenses against whatever government action they want to implement. Not that they can, because they are completely useless. But I assume
mm.
now that you're back in South Africa, is there a sense of, what's the term, but like levity? Do you find that you have more, how can I say, like more
Freedom.
time to like express yourself in terms of what
Yes,
you can
yes,
think,
yes, yes,
what,
yes.
what you can
Uh,
see, and a variety of those things? Like, do you feel, is it nice to be back? In other words,
it's awesome.
oh,
It's
really
awesome.
excellent.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, it's probably my first thought when I wake up in the morning. I'm glad I'm here. So, so it's well. I have a friend who also stayed. He lived in the UK for I think 12 years or so, and took him. I think the first 3 years after his return. He lives in Centurion now. So first 3 years after his return, whenever I spoke to him, he said, well, his first thought in the morning when he woke up was, why on earth did he stay in the UK for 12 years? So, so,
Good.
so yeah, it's nice, very easy to fit in, which was also a bit of a doubt in the back of my mind, so having spent most of my adult years in the UK, whether I'd be able to fit in easily. But yes, making friends and fitting into the community, you need to be willing to participate, of course.
Yes.
So just do stuff. But it's great. People are friendly, uh, and just avoid politics and mainstream media.
Yeah. Yeah, for the most part. I mean, if there wasn't newspapers in this country, we wouldn't even know that we had a government for the most part.
Yeah,
So the more you, I mean, be aware that they exist and what they want to do, but act
yeah,
as if they don't exist. And I think that's the key to living well.
yeah, yeah. And as far as consumption of media goes, rather listen to guys like yourself and and other podcasts that have a more realistic, I think, approach.
Hey,
So
I'll
and
send you
without
your I'll send you your check in the mail
there you go, there
for
you
that
go.
hunt. Thank you so much. All right, Sias, thank you so much. If someone watching is in a position like maybe they want to go or maybe they want to come back, can you give any advice? Because I know that like immigrating is like a huge thing. You didn't officially do it. You went on a working visa and just stayed a lot longer. But would you have any advice to people who might be thinking, South Africa isn't actually that great. I need to get the heck out of here.
Okay, it's uh, it's often very difficult to return. So that's one thing that you need to be very careful about. And also things that look better on that side may turn out to be a negative in the end. Comfort, for example. So material comforts tend to you can easily fall into a rut and get mentally fat and lazy if you live in a place, first world country, where uh, where you so protected, or you get the impression of being very protected until you're not. But then, uh, when you realize actually you're not that protected, then then you've never built the muscle. You've never built the muscle to to be proactive, and that's a real danger. So I think for your own personal development and spiritual development and family life tends to be very hard over there if, with lack of support of family members and the Dunny next door and Omar who's not not only 50 kilometers away, uh, but 12,000 kilometers away, that kind of thing. So that's a very, very heavy price to pay.
Yeah, I think a lot of people might feel far more alone over there in a first world country than on a farm here in South Africa. So I think
Yeah,
I would agree with you
yeah.
in that respect. But yes, I'm afraid that is all the time that we have. Thank you so much for joining us. And if
Okay,
you, yeah, hopefully you at home, if you're watching this, have found this very useful as well. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.